As you can see, they're helping Pope Francis up the steps into the Havana Cathedral in Old Havana. Michael Putney joins us now. Michael, you've been there.
I have indeed. It is a beautiful old cathedral. I think it dates back to the 18th century, and it is on a lovely plaza. This is one of the prime tourist locations in Havana. If you look to the right, there is a popular restaurant underneath the portico there, and here is an interior shot of the cathedral, and the people whom you see there waiting to worship are priests and nuns and other religious people of the Catholic Church in Cuba. And the Pope now has a mitre. He is blessing the priest and others there. This will be a very, very memorable experience for anyone who is in that cathedral this evening.
This morning's Mass was a lot about, service to the people. Do you think this will be a similar message this evening?
Well, I think that he is going to thank them for their service to the church and to the people of Cuba, encourage them to continue the work that they do, and to encourage the church to find additional space within Cuban culture and society. I think in that private meeting with Raul Castro today, I wouldn't be surprised if Pope Francis said, please let us once again open hospitals on the island, let us run schools on the island. They haven't been able to do that since the early 60s.
As the Pope makes his way to the altar, let's listen in. You can hear the music, you can hear the chants, and you can hear the faithful gathering to hear Pope Francis. We expected the crowds and the cheering for Pope Francis from those who are faithful. But these are people, Michael, who have already committed their lives, people who need the energy. He is not only popular with believers, he is popular with nuns and priests and those who carry the message that he does too.
Right, and I think particularly in Cuba, his a special message and affinity for the poor, the oppressed, the downtrodden. They understand that certainly in Cuba, and that is part of their mission there, and the Pope has said this must be the Church's mission.
He is here to celebrate Vespers, different from a Mass. Vespers, an evening prayer service there with other nuns and priests and seminarians. As you can see, this is just a beautiful building. Mike, you mentioned it, 18th century, started by his order, built by the Jesuits, not finished by them. They were booted out before it was completed, but still a place that he certainly feels comfortable in.
And we also, I think I noted this much earlier today in our coverage, but both Raul Castro and Fidel Castro went to Belén Colegio, a prep school in Havana, which was run by the Jesuits. They are products of a Jesuit education. So in a sense, they understand exactly where Pope Francis is coming from philosophically.
The Jesuit order known for not just their presence in the priesthood, but for their outreach, their mission work. You had mentioned just a moment ago, one of the things he is presumably pushing for is for the Catholic Church to be able to operate hospitals and operate schools, something they are now allowed to do and something Jesuits take a lot of pride in.
They do indeed, and in fact, the Cuban Constitution right now prohibits anybody but the government running schools, and it would be a huge breakthrough if the Castro government were to say, yes, all right, you can open some schools. We don't know if any of that happened, but we will find out. Here is Pope Francis kneeling at the altar in the old cathedral, a very important moment for everyone in this church. A moment of reverence.
You're looking live at the Havana Cathedral. Pope Francis making an appearance here. He will celebrate Vespers evening prayers. And we'll bring the very latest on the Pope's movements throughout Havana tonight right here on Local 10.